All right, Shalom. We're beginning the Netivot Shalom shir, the regular shir. This week's Parsha is Parshat Toledot, and there's a very strange series of events that are mentioned in this Parsha. There's lots of things we can't get to, but one of the things that are discussed at length are the various wells. Normally the Torah doesn't speak in language that goes on for many sentences about the same thing. It tries to be concise. And we learn from that every word of the Torah is important. But here in this Parsha, we have the Parsha of the Be'erot, the wells that were dug by Avram and then by Yitzchak, and were stuffed up by the Philistines. And it goes into this great explanation. And it sounds like an interesting series of events, but what does it have to do with today? And we're going to see the symbolism of these various wells and how they actually relate to Shabbat, how they all point to Shabbat. So the Netivot Shalom begins, Parsha Ha'Be'erot. This is on the Netivot Shalom on the book of Bereshis, and it's page Kuf Ayin Beit, 172. So let's see what the Netivot Shalom says. Parsha Be'erot, Hiri B'Parsheinu, Baricha Torah Kodesh. In our Parsha, the Torah goes to great lengths. The Inyan HaBe'erot is talking about these wells, Shechafru Avos HaKodesh, that our forefathers dug up. U'Rechsiv, as it says in the Parsha, V'chol HaBe'erot Asher Chafru Abdei Aviv, Bimei Avraham, Aviv. All of the wells that our father Abraham dug up at his time, Stumum Pelishtim Bimolo Offer, the Philistines filled them up, stopped them up, and filled them with dirt. And of course, we know when we talk about the Philistines, we're talking not only about the people who were there called Philistines, but we're also talking about their qualities, their midos. Their midos were evil, were bad. They were, it's sometimes a synonym for the sitra achar, the thing that makes you do negative things, the things that tries to make you think negatively, and so on. The Yetzer Hora, the Satan, and any of different names. So then the Torah goes on, says, Vayeshiv Yitzchak, and Yitzchak then dwelled, Vayachpor es Beirot Hamayim, and he dug up the wells of water, Asher Chafru Bimei Avram Avinu, that were dug up in his father's days. And after that, so we first have, so let's get straight. We have Avram who had dug 3 different wells and found water. Then the Philistines filled them up, and then now Yitzchak dug those same wells up again. But more of that, we talked about 3 other wells that Yitzchak's servants dug, and they had names reflecting on what was happening about those water. They fight over water isn't a new fight. So here, the people in Gerar were fighting over each well that they dug. They dug these 3 more wells, and they named them Isak, which meant to fight over something. Sitna, from the word sona, to hate. There was hatred about this well. Barachovot and wide open. The last one was wide open, space for everybody. So it says, Kiata hirchiv Hashem lanu ufarina baris, because here the last one says, God has enlarged for us and be able to water the land, to make the land grow. Vod lahalon, it says further, on that day the servants of Yitzchak came, Yaginulo al odos haber, asher chafru, and they told him about the things of the well that they had dug up. Yomrulo, and they said, Matsanu mayim. So after first Abraham dug 3, then Yitzchak dug 3 more, he had 6. And then they came, they said, hey, we found water. So Shiva. And they called it 7 because this was the 7th well that was dug up. Al-Kain Shem Ho'ir. Therefore, the name of the city where this was found, Be'er Sheva, Ad Hayom Hazer, was Be'er Sheva, 60 kilometers from where we are in Efrat, until this day. Kvar Omad B'zeh Ramban. The Ramban asks about this whole story. Alasher Yesaper Akosu V'Yarech B'Inyan Aberos. Why the Torah is spending so much time talking about these wells. And nothing, doesn't seem that anything makes sense out of this. So you dug wells. Okay, you need water. Everybody needs water. You dig a well, you find water, you fight over the water, you resolve the fight, and you keep going on, and you find more water. What is that telling us? So the Torah, we have to understand, what is the Torah coming to teach us? We have to understand, the servants of Avimelech and the philistines, they were the power of the Sitra Achar, the Satan, the Yetzer Hora, the negative influence in the world. Rabbi called Kach Alaberos, they had power over all these wells. We find in the first well that Avraham Avinu dug up. Tichsiv, as it says, V'ochiach Avram es Avimelech al odos ber hamayim, and Avraham chastised Avimelech over the well of water. Asher gozlu abdei Amelech, that his servants stole. He had these water wells, he dug them up for his own use, for his own flocks, and here the servants of Avimelech stole them. In other words, they would drive away the people. The Chema, the cost of Satom Plishtim offers. So what does it mean? They closed up the wells and filled them with dirt. And the aspect of the fighting over the wells, the additional 3 wells that were called Isek and Sitna. Ma Godol in Yoni Shalaberos, Shikocho Hasitracha Koach Nistaklohem. What was the power of these wells? That the power of what was the greatness of these wells? That the power of the Sitra Achar, the Satan, the Yetzer Hora could overpower them and be able to stuff them up. And we know, we've learned before that the greater a person is, for example, the harder the Sitra Achar, the Satan, the Yetzer Hora tries to bring him down from his greatness. The temptations are greater for somebody who's a great person than from somebody who's not so great. Whereas the Yetzer Hora looks at it as a great challenge. So here too, there must have been a challenge here because they had to fill up these wells. And what was it? Kain Sorech Bir, Mashinemer Al Shem Hu'ir Er Sheva. We have to understand the language that's used in this parsha. It says that it was the name of the city was Beersheba. Till this day, of course, that's how it is. Why was it named that? And why does it have that actual language ad hayom hazeh until this day? Shekvar b'Avram, number with Avram Avinu, it says al kein korah l'makom Beersheba. When Avram dug the wells, said the place shall be called, the city shall be called Beersheba. Kisham nishbu shneim, because that's where he and Avimelech made a covenant. They swore a peace treaty between them. But in Abraham, with when he named the city, when it was called Beersheba, it doesn't say, and that was the name until today. But with regard to Yitzchak, Kasiv al Kain, Shem Huir Beersheba Ad Hayom. The added words until this day were added. Why was it added there with Yitzchak that Beersheba will be called Beersheba till this day, and it wasn't by Avraham Avinu? Vetzu Amru Bikro Som Sheva Uber Sheva Yesh Mefarshim is explained Shu Gam Kain Al Shem Hashavua V'Habris Ben Yitzchak Lavimelech, because the word the Beersheba refers to the oath and the covenant of peace that was made between Avraham Avinu and between Yitzchak and Avimelech. Omnam perish kasha. This is hard to understand. He says, "Shekvar ifse koinyan bomru." Sounded like the whole aspect of his wells was done with. It says, "Vishalchem Yitzchak b'yochem b'ito v'shalom." He sent Yitzchak away, and he went away in peace. Then after that, a new thing starts. In that day, then his servants came, the servants of Yitzchak came, and they told him about the well that they had dug up. Umashma, it appears, Shein Hashem Sheva, Kosher Lishvua Imam Melech. Since it's a different time, this is already after the oath was taken between Yitzchak and Avimelech. It seems to have no connection. So why are we bringing it up here again? Why is it saying Hayom Hazeh? Sforno, the commentator Sforno says the Kra also Shiva. It's called 7. Ki im hoisa haber hashvis, because it was the 7th well. Avram Chafer Gimel Beirut. Avram Avinu dug up 3 wells. For the Kosev, as it's written, B'chol Beirut Asher Chafer Avdei Avi, where it says all of the wells that my servant dug up, the servants of my father dug up, the Avram Avinu's servants. Lo yomer loshem b'chol habeirot al pachot begimel. When it uses the word be'erot, the plural, it doesn't refer. It's referring to nothing less than 3 wells. And the Yitzchak chafer od gimel be'erot. Yitzchak also dug 3 more wells. Ishek sit never chovos, the wells we've talked about. Uverzeh. And we can see from this, the last one was the 7th one. So therefore, therefore you called 7. Therefore, the name of the city is the city of 7 wells, Beersheba. Because of the 7th well. With Avram, it says Sheva. Shavah, but kamutz, tachas hashin. Under the shin, It doesn't say Sheva, it says Shava. What does that mean? Miloshin Shavua, the language of Shavua, of swearing, of an oath. But here, Kashem Sheva B'Segol. Here, with the wells, where it says the name will be Beersheba, the word Sheva is written with a segol, Sheva. Milashon Mispar Sheva, like the language of the word seven. So, okay, good. But science, Vadayan, so we still have to understand if he's there because of this. What's the significance of this seventh well? Because we see that Avraham Avinu called the place Beersheba al Shem HaMeorah Kisham Dishpu Shnayim. He called it that because they both swore there. So the word Sheva from Shavua. What difference does it make? What is the significance of digging up the seventh well? Shadafka b'shvi, only with the seventh well, Kara al Shema as Shemware, did you call the name of the city Beersheba? Madulo Kara Gamas Haberos Hakodmim al Shem Mesupram. Why didn't you call the initial wells on the name by virtue of the number? Mashma we call Zesh Shoisezeb Basura Tova B'Yochedet B'Verashviz. So it must be that there was really good news that occurred when the seventh well was dug up by the servants of Yitzchak. Yesh Labir, we can understand O'Inyan. How do we understand this? The Hine Olam Hatikon Hitchil Mi Avram Avinu. The Olam Hatikon, the world of rectification, the world of making amends for all that happened before, the world of rectifying previous things, began with Avraham Avinu, because Avraham Avinu is the first person in the world to recognize that there is one God and that nothing else is important, and there's nothing else that causes things to happen. There's only one God, and he spread that world. So he started after we had the story of first we had the world destroyed, and then it was rebuilt, and then you had the destruction of Sodom, wicked people, the destruction of the Tower of Babel, where everybody was divided into 70 languages spread around the world. So after all those things, the world needed a tikkun. It needed to be repaired. So Avram was the first to start that tikkun. So he began this tikkun. And after him, the other 6 of the 7 shepherds continued his work. In other words, the 7 shepherds, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Haram, Vadovi, those are the 7 shepherds it refers to. So what we're trying to repair in this, and try and repair the world, is to repair the 7 days of the creation, of the building of the world. Because in the building of the world, the very first part of Bereshis, as Hashem is describing the creation of the world, we have the 6 days, and then you have Shabbos. Sheish l'chol yom in yanim uchedet yechudim batikunim. Every day has its own special character. Shetzorech l'taked bosu yom. Every day has its own special character where you have to rectify what has been wrong in that day before. There was every Sunday, every Yom Rishon, It has to be a tikkun for all the previous Yomim Rishon, the first days. Every Yom Sheni has to be a tikkun for that. So it says every day is a tikkun, is to rectify something that happened before. Avraham Avinu Avraham Avinu started to repair this. Therefore, he started digging the wells, which is a remez, a hint at how you get nourishment from holiness. And we have to understand that in a well, you find mayim. Mayim is one of the symbols of Torah. So from the Torah is where we gain nourishment, holy nourishment, to be a Jew. The three wells that Avraham Avinu dug, they were the three foundations for the holy nourishment of our people, and they represent the first 3 days of the week: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Yom Rishon, Sheni, and Shalishi. This is the aspect of why right away the Sitra Achar, the negative force, started fighting against them. Because the whole purpose of the Sitra Achar, the whole purpose of this negative influence in the world is to destroy, to steal the foundation of anything that will nourish you in holiness. Specifically, when Avraham Avinu chastised Avimelech because of the wells that his servants had filled up with dirt. Bafrei Mos Avram, and after he died, they returned to their old ways. Satmum Pelishtim v'Yamolim Afar. The Pelishtim were also symbolic of the Sitra Achar, filled up the wells again and stopped up the wells and filled them with dirt. Yitzchak Shav, and Yitzchak came. The Chavar is called Be'eros Hamayim Asher Chafru Avdi Avram. He dug up again. He redug those wells that Avraham Avinu's servants had dug up. It was Gimel HaBe'erot, meaning what did he dig up? He dug up the first three wells, Shem Keneged Gimel HaMirishon B'Shvua, that are equivalent to the first 3 days of the week. But he didn't stop there. Vagam Chofer Od Gimel Be'erot. He dug up 3 more wells. Isek Sitna Rachobot. Isa B'Magala Amukos, and it's revealed in the deepest depths. Shegimel Eila, these 3 that he dug up, Hem Keneged Gimel Hayamim Shalifnei Shabbos. These represent the 3 days before Shabbos. So we have Avram dug up 3 wells representing Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and Yitzchak dug up 3 wells representing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yom Ravi, Chamish, Shishi. Okay, and then after that, Yovav the Yitzchak, the servants of Yitzchak came Yagidulo al Odos Habera Sherchofu, and they told him about the other well that they found. Zaber Hashvi. Remember, they came, they said, we found water. Again, water is Torah. We found another well this is Torah. This is the 7th well, Shabbos Kodesh. Holy Shabbos is the 7th well. Dikroso Shiva, they called it 7. Al Kain Shem Ho'ir Be'er Sheva Ad Shem Hashem HaShabbos Kodesh, Haber Shvish, was called 7 because not that it was the 7th well, or not because of the Shavua, but because it represented Shabbos. You had the three wells from each of Avram and Yitzchak before that well that represented all the days leading up to Shabbos. And what is Shabbos? Shia Makor Hoikori Lechol Sheshes Abriot. Aberot. The Shabbos is the foundation, the most important of all these wells, 6 wells. Shemimenu Shofas Hayenikos Lechol Aberot. From the 7th well of Shabbos day, we gain our nourishment for the whole rest of the week. Shemimenu, Zohar says, Kol Berchon de Le'ela, Tata, Yom HaShavi Tilayin. All of the blessings from above and from below come out on the 7th day. This is the uniqueness of the 7th well, Shnikra Shiva Hashem Mispar Sheva, because it's called Shiva by virtue of the number 7. Shakadosh Baruch Hu Ohev Shviyot. Hashem loves the number 7. He connected Shabbos Kodesh. Yeah, we see that, like because of Shabbos. Remember when Hashem gave Shabbos to Moshe, what did he say? He says, I have a great present for you in my storehouse. The Shabbos Shema. His name is Shabbos. So Hashem loves Shabbos. It's a fantastic present that Hashem gave to the world. Shakadosh Baruch Hu, he connected Shabbos Kodesh. This is again for Shabbos. Asher min haber hahi yashku kol adorim. From this well, all of the flocks would drink. Bnei Israel is often referred to as the flocks of Hashem. Hashem is our shepherd. Hashem roi lo echsar, and then Tillim is Davidovich. Hashem is our shepherd. I won't fear. I will be lacking nothing. So we gain our nourishment from the nourishment for the whole flock is from Shabbos Kodesh. All of the power. They dwell them out. They draw them out. They draw them out for nourishment from Shabbos. For this we can understand. Why does it say Ad Hayom Hazeh until this day only with Yitzchak? Lo Eitzel Avram, but not with Avram. Why? Because Ki Eitzel Avram Nikra Hamokum Be'er Hashem HaShavua. Because with Avram Avinu, it was called Beersheba because of the Shavua, because of the oath, the peace treaty that was made, that Avram made. Shavua Hisurak L'Shata. The oath was only made for that time. Einu Ad Hayom Hazeh, and it wasn't forever until this day. Aval Eitzel Yitzchak. Nikrakein al Shem Haber Ashvis. But with Yitzchak, it was called after the 7th well. Hiya Shabbos Kodesh. Ikar Makor Hayinika L'chol Shisha Haberos. It is the foundation, the source of nourishment of all of the 6 wells. Remember, we're comparing the other 6 wells to the 6 days of the week leading up to Shabbos. And it's saying that all of these days, all of the days of the next week are nourished from Shabbos. All of the days of the previous week are nourished from Shabbos. Sheshish Masa, 6 days of creation. Kohen said, I am La'ad, and this power from the 6 days of creation, the Shabbos after the 6 days of creation, goes to this day. It's also we can understand the language that's used here. They said, they came and they want to tell them about the well. They said, we found mayim, we found water. Excuse me, we found water. Shabbat echad. Lo nemar. How many other wells did they come and yell, look at us, we found water? The good news of finding water, finding Torah. What is the Torah teaching us? Teaches us that the seventh well represents Shabbos, which is the source of blessing, the foundation of blessing of all the blessings. As we say in Kiddush, so God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. This was a great joy. They came so excited. We found water. Because they opened up the well of Shabbos. From that well, they had all the blessings of above and below. That's why the Torah spends so much time talking about these wells. This is the foundation that our forefathers established, which lasts till this day. Beiros hayinika, the wells that nourish, la bracha, and the blessing, shamshichu shemem yenakol Yisrael, kedusha ad sof kol doros. That this blessing, the blessings of the well continue to provide nourishment to the Jewish people until the end of all generations. Because of that, the Sitra Achar is fighting against this. The Sitra Achar, the negative influence, the world recognizes that this is the place from which Bnei Yisrael gets its sustenance, from the Torah, from keeping the Torah, from Shabbos. So if the Yetzer Hara can succeed in getting you to not keep Shabbos, or to ruin the Shabbos after you've taken it, we say in the Tefillah, you should save us from the Satan that is before us and after us. What does that mean? The Satan is before you, tries to keep you from doing the mitzvah. But the Satan la'achrenu is after you've done the mitzvah, Satan says, you didn't do such a good job. You didn't have kavanah. It was worthless. You wasted your time. Trying to give you second thoughts about what happened, about what you did. So that's why there's such a great fight again on Klal Yisrael by the Sitra Achar because of because of Shabbos, the seventh day, the seventh well. We can also see why with all the other wells, all the 6 wells, there was a lot of fighting over them. Except for the 6th one. I said the 6th well. I meant the 5 wells, not the 6th one. 6th well, there wasn't fighting. Because it was the expansion. There's enough for everybody. Here Hashem made it, enlarged it for us so that we could make the land grow its fruit. Because this well is equivalent to the sixth quality, which is the quality of Yesod. Yesod is the foundation of morality in a human being. This language, Vayatek Misham, we left from there, that's only said by the sixth one. The Rabbi says, Yesod Siyuma de Gufa. Yesod is the basis of the body. You have to use every part of your body to make sure that you live a life that's morally proper. You have to be able to separate yourself from everything that would tend to drive you away from being a moral person that Hashem wants you to be. Therefore, there was no fighting about it. Because of the rectification of this quality of Yesod, then once you're strong in that quality, the Sitra Acher has no power on this well. And then after that, after that, you come to the seventh well, which is the light of the Holy Shabbos. It's similar to what is said in Pirkei Avos, Erev Shabbos. It says, Erev Shabbos chayav adam mashmesh begadav, which literally means Erev Shabbos, a person has to examine his garments, meaning that you got to prepare yourself for Shabbos. And the literal translation is make sure you're not carrying something inadvertently where you'll violate the Shabbos. But the word begadav also means bagad, treachery. You have to examine your treacheries to God. What have you done this week? In other words, you have to go into Shabbos examining what you've done this week. It says, Misha Meis Erev Shabbos Simon Tov. Somebody who dies Erev Shabbos, it's a good sign. It's a strange thing. What does that mean? It doesn't mean literally that somebody who dies Erev Shabbos. It means when you're going into Shabbos, you should be like a dead person. You have no more desires except to serve Hashem. All that has happened to you is now gone. You're free of ever sin. You can't sin again. You're going into Shabbos pure. So that's what the revelation of the seventh well is, the or of Shabbos, the light that surrounds us on Shabbos. This also, we also hinted at on this. This also hints, why only with Yitzchak does it say until this day, below Eitzel Avraham, not by Avraham? We see that the wells that Avraham Avinu dug were ultimately closed up and filled in by the Philistines, but not Yitzchak. Over Yitzchak's wells, they didn't fill them up. Yitzchak's servants dug them up, and they fought over them, but they didn't fill them up. The quality of Yitzchak is the quality of yira, of fear, of strength. The root is the strength. It says that the fear of God will purify you forever. Koach Hayira, the power of fear. Mashi Yehudi Misyaga Harizeh Omed La'ad. If you come to that level, then that quality will stand forever. V'zeh merumaz, v'omru ad hayom hazeh, and that's hinted at until this day. Shekoach hayira shel Yitzchak hu omed la'ad. The power of Yitzchak, the gevurah of Yitzchak, stood forever. Now that's an interesting thing, because you think you want to serve God with love, but that's a much harder level to get to. It's easier to first get to serving God through fear of what will happen if you don't serve God, fear of punishment, recognition that there are consequences for what one does in this world. But we see that the first level to reach Chokhmah, we say Reishis Chokhmah Yiras Hashem. The first way to reach wisdom is the Yiras Hashem, the fear of God. Once you've reached that, then you can go onward to try to get to Ahavas Hashem. Okay, so I think that's all. And I think what the Netivot Shalom is trying to tell us is, just in quick summary, that Shabbos is the well from which we nourish ourselves all week long. That without Shabbos, you wouldn't have the rest of the week. And every day of the Shabbos, every day of the week, the Shavuot, every day of the week leads up to Shabbos and culminates in Shabbos. And that's why we have to really pay attention to go into Shabbos properly and to sit in Shabbos recognizing that we're in this bubble of light that Hashem gives to us. So I thank you for listening, and wish everybody a good rest of the week, and Shabbat Shalom in advance, even before tomorrow morning, where we stay in the Yom, the Chunaranu. I'm jumping the gun on that. So Shabbat Shalom to everybody. I'm going to stop the recording. Unless anybody has any comments, I'm going to stop the recording. Okay, I'll stop it in a moment.